What's good, guys? It's Bushy, and me and my friends are going to rank Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross soundtracks.
Yeah, and don't leave the second we call you out, Mr. Bush.
I've always been a fan of Reznor's more ambient works, so this will be a blast.
Me too. It's a good way to feed the 9 Inch Nails hole considering he hasn't dropped in almost 3 years. Speaking of which, I got a special guest for y'all to meet.
Hey, Barry, thanks for inviting me.
Oh my God, no way. Barrick, you actually managed to get the man himself on here?
Yeah, me and Barry go way back. Also, go to Hellbush. I still stand by what I said in year 0.
Yeah, and it was a mid-album.
The Hell Are You Smoking? Georgia Year Zero was a very good album. It and Hail to the Thief by Radiohead were very helpful and were on constant rotation during my days in the Oval Office.
Trump, you literally used it as a how-to guide, but we're not going to get into that. We got albums to rank. Shall we start in chronological order or just go along with it?
I think we should start off with The Social Network, as it was the one that started it all.
No, it wasn't. I started making soundtracks way back in '96 when John Carmack asked me to score the game Quake.
Oh yeah, to be honest, I always forget about the Quake soundtrack. I remember when the game came out, and I was expecting some hard rock and roll, as the kids would call it, and was met with a bone-chilling, dark ambient score, which made me need a new pair of pants.
I share a similar story, Joey. In fact, the Quake soundtrack was my introduction to Trent's body of work. Soon after I heard this soundtrack, I dived into the downward spiral, and that's how I became a fan of industrial music.
Can we take a minute to talk about how great Quake was? Not only was its soundtrack a fantastic and dark journey, but the game itself was a very fun and gloomy experience.
Oh yeah, for sure, Barry. I loved rocket jumping, and it was my introduction to multiplayer gaming. I say the soundtrack and the game itself is easy S tier.
I'm still pretty proud of this album. If it wasn't for it, I would have never made Ghosts or scored The Social Network.
Then it's settled. S tier it goes.
All right, now we can do The Social Network. I believe this soundtrack is the best, the very best, the absolute best. Yes, it is.
Whenever I do math, I always put on in motion. It just gets the brain going. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know you had a brain, Joey, to be honest, let alone the capability to do math. But I'm with you. I love the song It Comes Back, and Handcovers Blues is iconic.
Don't forget Penetration. That was my favorite song from the album.
Why am I not surprised that your favorite is the most basic song on the album?
Why am I not surprised that your wall never got built?
Why am I not surprised that you have bankrupted over 5 businesses, Mr. Donald Jackass Trump?
Yeah, Trump, what's your favorite song off the album then?
It may or may not be in motion.
Never give me any attitude again, Trump. You're just projecting at this point.
Anyways, I say this one's A tier. I had way better stuff coming out right after.
Sounds good with me. Any objections?
Yeah, me. I object.
None at all?
I said I object.
All right, sounds good. On to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
This movie was really messed up, but had a fire soundtrack.
My boy was at his peak during his scoring days when he was making this heat.
What do you mean, was?
The Empire of Light soundtrack was kind of mid, to be honest.
Your policies were kind of mid, to be honest.
Got him.
I love the cover of the Immigrant Song. You were able to turn a fun rock song into a dread-fueled industrial jam.
I love how atmospheric this one was. You and Addie were on something else during the 2010s.
Thank you. It means a lot coming from you, Barry. Also, if you ever call Atticus Addie again, I will murder you.
Let's just put it in S tier and move on before we have to bring out the government-issued trash bags, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Can we skip Before the Flood? It's so mid also. Really, Trent, you really had to insult me in the description for it on your website?
Well, you do kind of suck, Trump.
Try putting out a genuinely good album after the year 2013 before you start talking smack, Trent.
Try not bankrupting a business before you ever say anything to me again, Mr. Oompa Loompa Man.
Guys, come on now. We still have quite a bit of albums to rate. Why don't you save your bickering for the end?
Yeah, and why don't you save your unjust wars for the Geneva Convention?
Guys, come on. I told you to be chill with Georgie Trent. Let's just get back to ranking the albums, all right?
Yeah, let's talk about Gone Girl. My favorite soundtrack that you ever did, Michael.
All right, one more name like Addie or Michael, and I'm out of here.
Damn it, Joe. Anyways, yeah, Gone Girl slaps.
It's the best Fincher flick.
Man has not seen Fight Club.
The film creeped me out, and it does have some of your best work on there. Technically Missing reminds me a lot of the Black Ops 2 theme. Trent, was this intentional?
Yeah, I always saw it as a more modern interpretation of the song, and I thought that the original song structure from the BO2 theme was pretty good and could be reused.
Interesting.
I say this album's solid A tier. What about y'all?
Whoa, slow down, George. We've only discussed one song.
The Gone Girl soundtrack is the closest T-Rez ever got to the sounds of the Quake soundtrack. A gem it is. The very best gem, the absolute best.
Empty Places is a beautiful song, and At Risk was scary as hell the first time I heard it.
A tier it is.
All right, boys, we're going to have to cut this one into 2 parts.
Oh, come on.
Because Michelle wants me to cook dinner. Trent, it was good having you. Good night, boys.